Hey everyone, how's it going? See if I can get these to stretch. I'm on no battery today, so I have to switch the route I go and just review storming and norming next. So
Hello class and welcome to our second lecture on group stages. To follow our lecture on forming, in this lecture we're looking at the next two group stages, storming and norming, as part of our group skills in substance abuse counseling course. As we look at the objectives for the week, I want to remind you to review the chapters for the week prior to viewing the lecture, as it is intended to supplement your reading. By the end of the week, you should be able to identify behavior that may be considered resistance during the storming stage, describe how peer relationships develop in the norming stage, and distinguish among the first stages of groups, including forming, storming, and norming. First, let's review the 5 stages of group development that we're looking at during these 3 weeks. The stages include the initial stage of forming, which we discussed last week, and is characterized by initial caution associated with any new experience. During the forming stage, members may attempt to avoid being rejected by others, and may be superficial, centering conversations on historical or future events that don't necessarily have a direct impact on the group experience. With respect to tasks during the forming stage, remember that the group must deal with apprehension, as well as review member goals and contracts, specify rules, set limits, and promote positive interchange among members. This week, we're going to talk about the next 2 stages, storming and norming. And then next week, we'll wrap up by talking about the working and closing stages, also known as performing and adjoining. So first today, we will look at the storming stage and talk a little bit about member behavior here. As the group transitions from the initial forming stage to the next stage, which is storming, group members may begin to compete with one another to find their place in the group. Peer relationships may be uncomfortable as the group struggles over power and control, and may be characterized by anxiety, resistance, defensiveness, conflict, and confrontation. The storming stage helps bridge the group closer to a time of productivity, and although it may be uncomfortable, it is necessary in the development of a successful group. Primary tension is what members are likely to experience during the first session, and primary tension is concerned with the kind of awkwardness that comes with strange situations. Secondary tension, in contrast, deals with intra-group conflict and is what we see in the storming stage. With the help of group leaders, members work through non-productive ways of relating and begin to establish new patterns and a role in the group. The issue of power is central to the storming stage and refers to the capacity to bring about certain intended consequences in the behavior of others. In response to the struggle for power, group members may at first attempt to address the issue through old approaches, like fighting and withdrawing. And because members are still just beginning to get to know one another, there's very little trust established in the group during the forming stage. Members may exhibit resistance to change through behaviors like intellectualizing, questioning, or advice giving, as well as band-aiding, where members prevent others from expressing their emotional pain by trying to soothe a calm member who may actually benefit from exploring themselves more deeply. Other resistant behavior may be seen through dependency, or members who monopolize group time, and also through an attack on the group leader, which may come as a result of subgrouping, fear of intimacy, or extra-group socializing. There are many strategies for working through the interpersonal and intrapersonal group issues that occur during the storming stage, which may include inviting a process observer to come provide feedback on what he or she sees occurring within the group. This neutral third party can help spark conversations, which might allow members to attempt to change behaviors or modify ways of interacting. Working through the storming stage will result in members having a greater capacity for productive work by having established emotional space for one another. The interdependency among group members and the stability of the group as a whole cannot deepen until issues within the group surface, are acknowledged, and are dealt with. The work that occurs during the storming stage allows for the group to progress to the norming stage, and ultimately this is the work that allows for productivity and success in the long term. As we move into the norming stage, group norming refers to the we-ness that describes group identity or cohesiveness that's now possible once the group has resolved the storming stage. During this stage, peer relationships are categorized with increased sense of identification. Members begin to see themselves as being similar to one another. Members are also more likely to work harmoniously with each other, displaying high levels of cooperation and collaboration during the stage. Cohesion describes a sense of groupness that promotes high morale, trust, and solidarity. Cohesive groups are more effective in their communication patterns and also tend to have more fun, but there can also be pitfalls. For instance, a group that's highly cohesive may avoid addressing anything that could potentially be upsetting in an attempt to maintain that positive atmosphere. But ultimately, this detracts from the overall success of the group and its members. With respect to tasks, during the norming stage, group members learn to regulate, evaluate, and coordinate their efforts. They do so by showing support, empathizing, facilitating discussion, and providing self-disclosures which reveal information about themselves to other group members. The norming stage results in a group that feels connected and is able to move on to concentrate on being productive rather than protecting themselves. Norming allows group members to clear their minds, reassess their goals, feel good about themselves, and make new plans for the working stage of the group. This final slide compares each of the 3 stages that we've discussed through these lectures. I encourage you to review the information carefully and make sure that you can distinguish among the 3 stages thus far. Remember that forming is characterized by initial caution associated with any new experience and an attempt to avoid being rejected by others. During this stage, group members try to be superficial and center conversation around historical or larger events that do not have a direct impact on the group. During this stage, members must deal with apprehension, review member goals and contracts, specify rules, set limits, and promote a positive interchange among members. We've seen that the storming stage is characterized by a time of conflict and anxiety. During this stage, the group moves from the primary tension that comes with the awkwardness around any new experience to now secondary tension, which has the relationships within the group. During the storming stage, there's an attempt to balance between too much and too little tension, as we talked about with cohesion. And group members tend to be more anxious in their interactions, and power is a main concern here. During the norming stage, there is a strong sense of we-ness that comes when individuals feel a sense of belonging. High levels of enthusiasm and cooperation are also during the stage. Group members begin to identify with one another, and the relationships may benefit from hope, cooperation, collaboration, and cohesion. During the norming stage, group members agree on norms, accept prescriptive and proscriptive norms, and there's a heavy emphasis on commitment. This serves to conclude our lecture on storming and norming.
All right. So, hello and happy Friday, actually. It's been kind of a crazy week. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you're already in this level of practice class, that you are probably going to finish in the next year and a half. So, self-care. I know I do this in every class. I haven't done it here yet, but I want to pull it out because it's so important. I've done a lot of social work in 21 years and leading groups and doing home visits, writing papers, publishing, research, like we do in social work. And no matter what it is, it's easy to begin to do too much. So we didn't do an audio over on this one, so I guess that's either good or bad for you guys. But we created this self-care and crisis management for when I was in graduate school. And I think because today we're 31% done with the semester, we're literally like 1/3 done. I wanted to get into this to make sure we're all doing self-care, and that's a reminder to myself. So I know there's only 3 major assignments in groups. After observing the group, you all lead the group, and then the large final paper of a production of the group, or grant writing, or both. Some people choose to do both because it is enough pages. And in the middle of that, just making sure you do self-care. So one of these is a quote, and this is from our self-care book. I know it's when I started graduate school, so it's old research from 2001, but it's still pertinent today. So it starts with, in the theater of life, the other becomes the illuminated part of the stage. Our I is outside the illumination. The lives of others, their hopes, ideas, goals, aspirations, pains, fears, despair, and anger are in focus. Like a leaf under the microscope, we see all of this in highly illuminated detail. As a counseling therapy, teaching, or health practitioner, the other gets our attention. Out of the illuminated microscope, we easily lose sight of our own needs, like the needs to not respond to all needs. So it's showing that we are likely to not practice self-care, and that's the scary part when even at your internship. So it started for me as early as my social work internship, so that would have been 2001 and 2002, because I was psychology before that and we didn't have to do internships. Theology, I did do some service learning, and it would be hard to practice perfect self-care, so to speak. So here's the overview of what we do. It's a quick 19 slides. So in this module, explore secondary traumatic stress and compassion fatigue, burnout, stressors, and then how to fight those all with self-care. So learning about emptying your cup and nurturing the self. And as we speak of self-care, those of you who've come in person know how hot the room gets and the air conditioning sucks. So I'm going to do my own self-care and not overheat. So here's like the definitions of secondary traumatic stress and compassion fatigue. This goes with leading groups, if you're a social worker doing home visits, if you're a researcher, making sure to honor that 9 to 5. And, of course, there'll be weeks when it's like finals week and like midterms, you have to do a lot more, but that allows for the slow weeks in the middle too. That's what was cool about school. So secondary traumatic stress or compassion fatigue or vicarious trauma is a set of symptoms that may occur in individuals experiencing trauma or crisis. The symptoms mirror post-traumatic stress symptoms exhibited by the individual experiencing direct trauma. These symptoms include re-experiencing like flashbacks or nightmares, arousal, like anxiety and hyperactivity, and avoidance. And that could be numbing or dissociation. So, sorry to send the link to watch online, so I'm going to try to do that while doing the several stressors that come up when you have compassion fatigue. So, here they are. And hopefully they are visible enough. I know sometimes the view is not perfect, and I'll try to, while keeping it plugged in, zoom in as close as I can for you. So you may experience any of the following symptoms: avoidance, numbing of reminders of traumatic events, persistent arousal, intrusive thoughts or images of clients or your own traumatic experiences, difficulty separating from your work from your personal life, lowered frustration tolerance, increased countertransference, depression, assumptive world disturbances, also ineffective or self-destructive self-soothing behaviors, and the last few here as I send this off, hypervigilance, where you're just like kind of always on alert, decreased feelings of work competence, diminished sense of purpose or enjoyment in one's major or career. That might be why I switched majors 6 or 7 times, but finished with psychology and social work. And then loss of hope, helplessness, and confusion. So when I'm not doing self-care, that's what it looks like. So there is good news. I can avoid this burnout. But here's what burnout looks like. While compassion fatigue or secondary traumatic stress occurs when people living with others experience trauma, burnout refers to exhaustion from emotionally demanding work. People who are burned out will experience depleted energy and then decreased effectiveness. So I become a worse social worker when I'm doing that. And here's some of the symptoms. So people experiencing burnout might have the following symptoms: negative self-concept and attitudes towards work or school. Also, let's see if it lets me zoom in any better. Boredom, negative errors and accidents, impatience and irritability, physical depletion, tiredness, pain, and headaches, illness, feelings of helplessness and or hopelessness, withdrawing from relationships and isolation, and then grandiosity. And that's from more modern research like 2010, 2011. And here's your poor self-care deadly dozen. So this is what we can get caught up with as social workers that can really burn us out. And it's important to do. So Scovolt's research identified these top 12 problems impacting wellness of service providers. So one is if you have toxic friends or colleague support. 2 is if you have very little fun. And that could be like playfulness or humor, laughing in life or work. 3 is a big one I talk about having to do when you sign your work contract. So this would be called only a fuzzy and inarticulated understanding of one's own needs. So when I sign up for a job, an internship, you get like a contract that tells you what you have to do so that it's not fuzzy, inarticulated. It's clear and you know what you need to do and how you can be finished at 5 p.m. and come back to work at 9 if it's not finished, but shut it off for those 14 hours and do the self-care in between. Also, if your agency offers no professional development process, and that turns experience into more competence and less anxiety. So they should offer trainings. They should give you, teach you how to lead a group. Even though we're doing it here in school, they should also tell you the specific group you're running. If it is a trauma group, if it is a specific, Al-Anon family group, one of those things to help families. If when you go home, if you have a no energy giving personal life. Also, inability to say no to unreasonable requests, vicarious traumatization that takes an accumulated toll, personal relationships that are predominantly one-way caring relationships with self as giver, constant perfectionism in work tasks. Like, we are allowed to make a mistake. It is okay if you make a mistake. So you just correct it. Continued unresolved, ambiguous professional losses, like if your supervisor quit or if someone else at work that trained you is no longer there. If your internship supervisor is gone, a strong need to be needed. Professional success is defined solely by client, students, or patient positive change or appreciation. We also added this one in because this is getting more of us than ever before, especially with inflation. So we're saying it could be the right finance as a key to wellness. So it is very important to keep track of all expenses and financial obligations. So this could be mileage at your place and things of that nature. Um, Mismanagement of finances can quickly lead to unnecessary stress. So, like if you do have bills and then it's not paid on time, then you got to pay 10% interest on the credit card, and it just starts like piling up. Um, Finance is self care. Good finances is key to wellness. And then there are sources of info that are online in your library. How are you? How's it going?
I'm okay.
That's good.
So I had a question.
Yeah.
So about let me take my photo out so I can write notes.
For leading a group or observing a group.
Um, the next assignment.
So leading the group, because you already observed like an Al-Anon meeting.
Yeah, and yeah, I already observed that. So basically.
And then you fill out that questionnaire at the end of the syllabus for that. So you've already done that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's more leading the group. So I know we talk about it, but the leading group.
Yeah. I was doing some of the self-care PowerPoint, which I can finish on Monday. So
You said we need a group of 3 to 4 students?
that's ideal. Like people will ask roommates and ask people that, you could run this type of group with that I sent out to you guys about the girls circle. I forget if you picked a week you want to do.
I haven't picked one.
Okay, that's fine.
What week specifically?
You can pick any one you want. So, well, yeah, you can lead it as soon as next week if you want, and then you can pick any of these. It's a 10-week group. So week 1 is, and I sent this out an announcement, so it'll be on D2O. It's called Connecting with Each Other, and it tells you how to lead from start to finish.
And then, is this on D2O?
Mm-hmm.
In the week, what for?
I sent it out in announcements because that's the only way I know how to get stuff to you guys.
I'm more confused on what our topic has to be.
Right, so here is 10 ideas for a topic. So you could do week 1, connecting with each other. Week 2, labels, exploring new perspectives. Week 3, expressing myself.
Okay, so if we pick one of those, we got to lead this group for 10 weeks?
You just do one of the week here.
Okay.
You can bring this to your agency and lead it for if you're working at an internship next semester. I forget if you're doing an internship anyway.
So basically, we just need 3 or 4 people to pick a topic from any 10-week topic, and then basically we just
Run the group.
So basically, what I'm gonna do is say like, quote unquote, a class. We're gonna say your perspective. So what we're gonna do is everybody gonna introduce themselves and play a little icebreaker game, and then boom, a question come about. What does romantic relationship mean to you? And then everybody just gonna say how it is.
That one is on week 9, so you could do romantic relationships. It shows you how to open it like from start to finish. So this is like week 1. Their opening ritual. Begin the circle with an opening ritual that marks commencement of the circle process, fosters a special tone. Some people light a candle, ring a bell, have each other say one word about how they're feeling, like highs and lows of the week. So that's the opening ritual they do for every week. Then the theme introduction, if it is romantic relationships, like you say. There's 6 pages that'll tell you exactly what to say. It's basically like a script of what you say the whole way. That's why this is so cool. It tells you.
This assignment is we just following behind.
If you want to, you can pick your own group off the internet, like search mental health groups to lead, and you could pick something else. But this was perfect because it's a $10,000 manual that tells you the activities to do, how to share the activity, the closing ritual, and that's every week. Now it'll go here. Here's the 10-week overview, which is cool. There's romantic relationships. It's actually week 8. And now it'll start here's week 1, and this is 6 pages of how to run. And here's a brief you need to do those activities. There's the materials you want, the purpose, and here's how you prep. So this is you prepping. This is why it's such a cool little manual. Week 1, it says choose an opening ritual. And again, it's light a candle, ring a bell. And here's the theme, introducing, connecting with each other. The theme introduction process of the basic circle format means just that, introducing a theme and the purpose of the group. This gives the girls a basic overview of what is planned for that session. On the first session, you may want to tell a little overall theme if you wish. The theme introduction should be brief and to the point. And here's 3 ideas. So sometimes in society, girls' relationships are strained, like backstabbing, competition, judgment, fighting. The Girl Circle aims to develop true relationships and friendships and learn to relate to each other in a healthy, honest way to support each other through our life experiences. Girls often place more significance on their relationships with boys or men than they do on relationships with girls or women. But love relationships can come and go for this reason. So it's important to develop female relationships that offer long-lasting friendships that support us. Purpose of Girl Circle is to unite women and girls together in friendship and have a meaningful relationship. And then it does, here's week 1, every single thing you do. Icebreaker, creating the group guidelines. And they're designed to go for an hour a week, 10 weeks in a row. Like that's how we would lead it. Like,
just to confirm, we're not leaving this group for 10 weeks. It's just 1 week.
you pick one of the weeks. I'm making it as simple as possible for you guys.
So basically, we just leave the group for a week, Monday to Friday. Okay.
Correct. Yep. I always forget this class used to be 1 day a week, and now it is 3 days a week. So we have a lot more options. But when I worked at Lighthouse and I ran trauma groups and the different therapy groups, you could bill for minimum was like 15 to 23 minutes. Because if we got to 23 minutes, you're allowed to bill for 30 minutes. Also, if you made it 38 or 43 minutes, you round up to 45 an hour. So that's how the billables work. If there's 10 people in the group, you get 33 per hour. It's like $330 for the agency. That's kind of why there's a time limitation. It's like if that makes sense.
And then I have a question. So for that whole week, we're picking a different topic for each day to talk about? Or still the same?
You can do just, you could spread it out, but I'm okay if you come in Monday, Wednesday, or Friday and lead a 15 to 25 minute group.
So it has to be 15.
That's like the minimum we can bill for in social work. So it's getting you guys ready for the real world. Where like if you run a group, you can't have it be like.
Wait, I'm confused because I'm trying to write this down.
Okay.
Because I got, lead a group. I need 3 or 4 people. Pick a 10-week topic with the group for a week. But you just said Monday, Wednesday.
So you pick any one of those days to run it.
Oh, so just on like one day?
Right. We're keeping it simple for you.
Okay.
You could do it
if
for
I-
over
if
3
I
days
present-
if you
So
want.
if I present Wednesday, that's the only time.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But just getting you guys ready for the real world where you have to run a group.
So basically, in reality, like if we in our field, it's a week or.
Right. It would be an hour a week. Usually we ran our groups on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. and it ended at 7. You know what I mean?
And then do we have to record per group?
Well, if you do it in here, I'll record it for you. Like if you brought the people here, but if you did it at your house on like Zoom or like YouTube Live, you could send us all the links so we can watch it. So it's up to you. If you come in here, I'll just make sure to put it on the class live link. And then, yeah, getting you guys ready for this thing is so cool. Look how many that gives you start to finish every single thing you need. There's
And if
check-in.
you follow that from start to finish, that means it's basically 15.
Right. These are actually designed for a solid hour, but you could get it done in 15 to 20. You just kind of cruise through it. A lot of groups are 10 girls sharing. We might only have 3 or 4, like you said, and I'll be one of the girls in the girl circle. It gives so many ideas. It's really cool. Like that it's, Week 1 ends on page 17, and then week 2 starts on page 18. And they're usually about 6 pages of all the stuff, just opening
You have
ritual.
to type that out too?
For your final paper, you can do the same thing where you cite this and say, I'm designing a group around.
You think it's a good suggestion that we outline how our group is going?
It would be cool is it'll help you on your paper. You know what I mean? Like you can use the same topic in group creation for your final paper. It's like 8-10 pages. So if you're typing it up, yeah, and cite Girl Circle.
And we gotta write that paper.
It's due at the end of the semester, so like
It's
November.
9 pages.
It is right in the syllabus. It's probably the longest paper you guys have.
It is APA coordinator?
It is APA. You could use, if you wrote it in Courier New, you ever heard of that font?
I'm gonna write it.
You could do
Courier?
Courier New will turn 6 pages into 9 pages about.
In font 12?
Yes. Yeah, you still do 12 font. But like, here's an example. Watch, I'll highlight, well, here's the syllabus. And I'll,
APA.
mm-hmm.
How many resources?
Usually just a few, like
4?
yeah.
Because I know the more the better.
Right, yeah, you'll start doing this stuff like without even thinking about it at some point, which I never thought was possible when I was in school, but you'll just start like cruising. You still use Google Scholar? Have you gone there?
Mm-hmm.
Because you see how
I
easy.
don't like Google Scholar because it limits the resources that you can.
Really?
Or I don't know if it's based on the topics I'll be picking, but like,
It's
I don't
possible.
really see, I don't really be seeing enough. I don't really see no good articles.
This thing?
I think
So-
that's what we'll be when we online. I think that's what we'll be hearing. I don't know if it does that in here, but when we be watching on YouTube, everything will go good, and it will just start skipping.
I didn't know that. It could be this TV. And again, why it is better to come in person. But I understand you guys can't always. So say you go to Google Scholar like this. Like that? Yeah. And then you do like Girl Circle group. And then you could cite these references. This is why I like it. Look how much stuff they have on Girl Circle. 100,000 results. And you could make, you want it new, so there's 2018. Dang. And then you know how to cite it, right? You go like this.
Mm-hmm.
You click cite. There it is. You copy APA. And if you did it in text in the paper, you'd like call it Dorham et al. 2019. Look at all the stuff that has, even since 2018, there's 28,000 on females and groups. And you can download the whole article too and like own it. So here's the article, and usually you just save it to your desktop. So interesting, a boxing program for middle school girls. Huh. They just beat the hell out of each other? And that's 2020. So there you would do Furious and Jacobs 2020 if you cited it in paper. And there's all your references right there. Use as many as you want and refine the search as well as you want. You know what I mean? For like if it's adolescent, if I can spell it. That stinks that it makes that noise. I wonder if it's this connection. It's like skipping like a CD. Is that kind of how it sounds?
Mm-hmm.
So this does give you an outline for your final paper right here. But it only says the number of pages in the description up top. This tells you every paragraph. So title is 1 line, abstract's 1 paragraph, overall scopes 1 to 3 paragraphs. 3 to 8 paragraphs for psychosocial concerns. But if you connect the two, I always like doing real research that like you're going to lead the group, you're going to know it top to finish, And then you also will write about the group, and you can cite this. And then there's the final paper. So it's the very last 3 pages that give you the whole outline of the final paper. And I always connect them. It's like, why not double dip on your work? You know, you're going to lead it and then know about it, and then you'll be able to cite it and quote it. Group assessment and hopefully that answers your questions. I can do the rest of the self-care PowerPoint because we're officially 1/3 done with our classes. There it is. It's 8 to 15 pages. Holy crap.
Oh,
Dang. So I want to show you an example though. Watch if I turn this into Courier New. You'll be able to read all of what?
all of our 8.
I do. I've done this for a while, so I'm familiar with a lot of the stuff. But yeah, luckily there's only 4 or 5 of you guys in this class. So that's really only, and why I'm okay with you doing it in Courier New. So, gosh, why is it not easy here? So say you pick font. It's like right here. Here it is. And then say you pick Courier New. There it is. Now watch what happens to this. It'll be like pop. See how it's like 1/3 bigger?
Yeah.
So, and I'm okay.
Double space.
Yeah, if you double space, it'd be even bigger. It's like a typewriter. So if you use Courier New, I'm okay with it on my papers. Most teachers don't like it if you guys used it with their papers, but because I have dyslexia, it's easier for me to read it. And it will, for real, if you wrote 6 pages, it'll turn it into like 8 or 9. So just always do Courier New 12 font and you're good.
With double space.
Right, that's the APA stuff, which you'll do in graduate school too. So all the way through graduate school, you have to do that, and you'll do fine. No need to stress about it, even though it does seem stressful. So I'll finish this on Monday actually, because we need a break, right? I was just doing self-care. We need a break. I'm gonna take it easy, and I wanted to see if there's any other PowerPoints I had on groups from the past. Are you doing okay in your other classes? Like they're stressful, or are they like okay?
I feel like, but it's because back I work so good.
Right. Math would be, so is the statistics one, or which one is that
No,
exactly?
it's my business minor.
Oh, there's another math you have to take there. That's scary. Well, I feel like we've covered all. I was going to make it a self-care day and stretch it into a self-care week because we all need self-care in our life. Are you doing enough self-care?
No,
I'm not either. It's hard to do.
it
Like,
is.
I have so many things that like are waiting on my brain right now that I have to complete and write up for and finish before the next 48 hours. It kind of drives me insane. So I'll unplug. Maybe it's my connection cable. I don't know. But all the more reason to come in person. You've at least proved that. And you graduate in May.
Yes, that's good. So do I have to, so with that, do I have to, pay, or when the time comes, pay for it?
They always make you pay a graduation fee. Oh, this
So
is.
do I pay that now, or wait?
You could pay it now. Who's your advisor again? Is it? You'll send her your check sheet. She'll send it for audit. And that's when you can pay, like when they send back your audit.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah, so do you have your check sheet kind of done? Miss Jackson may have done some for you. See, that's another call that I have to call back. That's about our work. So do your self-care this weekend.